Well, connecting social justice education through the arts is particularly important. I would say that cross-curricularly it's important. I think you can talk about it in math. I think you're talking about it in science. And I think you can talk about it in the novels that you're studying in English. But in the arts, I think it's particularly important because artists have always, throughout history, emerged as great advocates for the rights of the vulnerable. And it is through their expression of visual arts or drama or film or dance or whatever it might be that change really can happen. And we know that throughout history even artists were seen to be a threat because they were so potentially influential in changing the course of how people think about things. And so I think that the arts are an incredible medium for activism and for change and for growth and for awareness, whereas that might be a little bit more difficult or not quite as easy in other educational disciplines.
Well, in one way, it's, I think, important to our survival, right? I think that in the arts world, we do so many things well, and our work connects to so many different areas, and sometimes I think we have to explicitly point that out, that the arts can address social justice issues in really rich ways that people may not even realize. And I think also, especially with art, like I think about theater, in some ways theater is a really antiquated art form, or it's becoming an antiquated art form. So in trying to show students and other people that it's still relevant, that theater can be made about things that are happening to us today. They're not just plays about people in the past, but there are things that are going on now. I think that to me is also what makes it important.
Teaching in the arts is so important to social justice education because it's the way for people to communicate. So the way that I see it is that my students come with all kinds of life experiences, and what they bring to the classroom is the most important thing because I can build on what it is they know and where they come from. Especially working in Toronto, I've worked in some very, very diverse classrooms. So the students come from all over the world. So it's really important for me not to just impose my values or my thinking on my students, but to get them to let me know what's important to them, what their values are, what their forms of expression are, and how I can build on that. And a lot of times, especially in Toronto, it's hard to build a meaningful classroom unless I do that. I've had students that can be very resistant. Sometimes students come into a classroom, in a grade 9 classroom, for example, they didn't choose music. So rather than have them be resistant to what I'm teaching, why not build on what it is that they love and that they know and that they feel strongly about?
Art is powerful, and I think when it's purpose-driven, it becomes even more powerful. There's certainly a place for arts for the sake of creating art, for the enjoyment of art, for entertainment, but I'm always driven by creating art that's meaningful and purposeful and thoughtful, and I think that's something that is important to be able to educate, especially young people, to know that they can use art as a tool to express themselves, to think of it as an alternate to violence, to other things that they may feel has no solution, or just giving them an opportunity to be heard.
I think that it's important for students who are studying art in its any forms to know that much art has a history that looks at expressing something about the human condition. But I think that most of us know that art has been used and continues to be used to serve a very specific purpose, and that purpose has to do with communication. I will see what I see in an artwork or in a performance, but I'm seeing it because somebody has put something there that communicates to me. So, being able to work with artists and students has been an enormous privilege to see how the artists are able to, get in there and find out what the students really, how can they express some thought. I mean, I've generally done things from a very intellectual basis, a knowledge basis, and the artists are able to bring it out in a wonderfully expressive way.